Hello, Jane Ellis with Rediscovered Books, and today I bring you Gays in Space, or queer science fiction fantasy that you do not want to miss because our staff is loving them. Coming in hot, we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Nearly all of this, like 90% of our staff has read this book. We all love it and we are a little obsessed because it is so good. It is book one in the Locked Tomb trilogy, of which 2 books are out. And basically, it's kind of a dungeon crawler whodunit mystery featuring necromancers who are from 9 houses who are all vying to win the favor of the Undying Emperor. And to do that, they have to solve a series of puzzles in this decrepit and decaying Gothic palace on this planet. Except they all start dying one at a time. And so it's also a race against time to figure out who the heck is killing them off. It is led by a sassy, witty protagonist, Gideon, who we all love, and her necromancer, Harrowhark the Ninth, Non-Justness. And oh my gosh, you will not have descriptions or dialogue as unique and funny as this in just about anything else. It is absolutely a cannot miss book. It's also one that when you finish it, you could go back and reread it because the way the twists and everything work, you'll get so much more out of it. Book 2 is out. It is also fantastic, and we are eagerly awaiting book 3. This next book is actually the latest in Becky Chambers' series, but it is no less fabulous than all the others. The first book in the series is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. This latest one, The Galaxy and the Ground Within, continues with how wonderful and heartfelt her books are. They're probably my favorite sci-fi books that are currently out there. If you need a little bit of faith in humanity, as well as just the sheer amount of diversity and beauty and world building she's put into this, you won't want to miss these. The first one is a bit of a kind of buddy trip across the universe in a spaceship. The second one features a AI that's been uploaded to a body that, for all intents and purposes, looks completely human but is in fact an android, but has to keep that under wraps and come to terms with this new body that they're in. The third one deals with a bunch of different people kind of coming together on an international space station and kind of figuring out what their life looks like, whether they're people who have lived in space for generations or people who are fresh off of a planet. And this latest one, it wasn't until I was almost halfway through the book that I realized there weren't any human characters in this one. And I loved it. Also, if you're someone who is really interested in learning more about pronouns and using them correctly, especially neopronouns like Z, Zir, one of the main characters in this book actually uses neopronouns, and whether you're reading it on the page or listening to the audiobook, it's a really great way to see that used over and over in conversation and in context with other people. And I cannot overstate just how truly lovely these books are. Another recent staff favorite that is really, really good and very new is Everina Maxwell's Winter's Orbit. If you love political intrigue, arranged marriage, drama, and just pure dumb. So dumb. They both love each other, but wow, they just need to talk. You're going to love this because it kind of feels like reading high-stakes political drama fan fiction with characters you've never met and you just can't help but love. It is so lovely and such a fun read. It definitely is more of a thriller sci-fi with a strong romance plotline, but it is so, so good. If you're looking for something a little bit different, This Is How You Lose the Time War is an itty-bitty novella that you'll blow through in no time, both because of its length and also because it really just clips right along. It's a sort of spy versus spy novel written as a series of letters between these 2 agents in these 2 warring agencies in the far-off future as they travel through different timelines trying to catch each other and turn the tide for each of their individual agencies that they're fighting for. One is more of a tech-based, like, hyper future, and one is more earth and natural-based, and it is written with a lot of wit and heart, and you won't want to miss the banter between these two characters. It almost feels like a series of love letters, and it is such a fun, weird read. I've never been so happy to be confused for half of a book. Speaking of time travel and possibly the multiverse, a weird and wonderful new book that just came out in the last couple of months is Micaiah Johnson's The Space Between Worlds. The general premise being that there is a multiverse. There are over almost 300 different universes, almost identical to our own, all with their own individual little differences and things that have happened in the past that led them to where they are. And we have figured out how to travel in between all of them and gather information. We're mostly sure that they're not being able to travel to us, but we could be wrong. The catch being, if you travel to a world where you are alive, it will kill both of you because the world cannot abide with two of you in one place. Because of this, the weird juxtaposition that ends up coming up is that instead of these really well-educated scientists being the people traveling between worlds, it actually ends up being a lot of BIPOC and marginalized people who become very valuable workers for this type of travel and gathering this information because of their background and their lives and their childhood and the way it's all kind of played out. There's a lot of worlds where they haven't made it this far. But because they are here in this one, they're able to travel between. This next one has a special place in my heart, both because it is a lovely story and because I love Tillie Walden's work. It is a graphic novel called On a Sunbeam, and one of the things about Tillie Walden is not only is her work and illustrations so beautiful and evocative, but it really just adds a whole nother dimension to the story that she's telling. This one is a slow burn romance with a found family cast and a sort of space opera adventure in which it follows one girl and two timelines. About 7 years ago when she went to boarding school and fell for a fellow classmate who then left mysteriously halfway through the year, and then the present day, where she now works with restoration crew, here going to the different reaches of space to restore different ruins and things, either for museum purposes or office space. That being said, she gets to know this wonderful crew that she's with more and more. It comes up that they actually know this girl that she fell in love with years ago, and they might know where she is. And they're even willing to help her try to find her and contact her once more. It is written so beautifully, and the illustrations will blow you away. And what are gays in space, if not disasters? The crew in this book, they all go to the academy, and they're actually the rejects for the program because they did not make it. Their test scores weren't quite up to snuff. They weren't the thing. But when they're being sent off back to Earth, the station that hosts the entire academy gets blown to bits. Everyone is dead. They make it out alive by the skin of their teeth, jump into the next system, and subsequently are on the run. They didn't do it, but now they're being framed for the blowing up of the space station, and it is up to these disaster gays to get everything back on track, convince everyone they didn't do it, and also get the actual bad guys under wraps and in jail. Can they do it? Well, let's find out. In the meantime, you have a couple of lovely guys as part of our team. We have a brilliant trans girl and a bunch of other really lovely people who come up in this book. If you want something that's just a quick, fun read, The Disasters, it will be a great addition to your summer. If you want to read something that you would not have expected to like or even know that you need to read Murderbot. Our lovely protagonist is a genderless robot who is a security android for exploratory and spacefaring teams. The thing is, this robot figures out how to overwrite his programming, and while that should send him on a murder rampage that kills everyone, instead we discover daytime television, and that's a much better use of our time and so much less effort. On top of that, and the weird and wonderfulness that is, a lot of the people on the crew and surrounding Murderbots are some part of the Alphabet Mafia. You have some polyam representation, as well as some others, and honestly, this series, the first few are all novellas. They're very short and a quick, wonderful read, and you will devour them if you start them. They are so good.